Alrighty, everyone. Hello. Let me see. Let me get my microphone up here. All right, and all of my lights on. Oh my gosh, it is bright. Welcome back to the Designer's Den. And this is my first live episode of the year, so happy fucking New Year, everybody. We did it. Um, we made it. In the spirit of that, Connor and I are gonna be having a toast. Um, you know, eventually at some point. We're also just drinking. So feel free to join in with that. But in that note, I am very excited today to welcome back. What is this now, Connor? Your third time on the show.
Is it? Is it three?
Yeah, I think
Four?
this is three. Yeah.
I lost count. I had
I
lost
don't know.
counting.
Just show. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Um, um,
Naughty bird.
Yeah, it's late night and we're having fun here. But welcome back my good friend Connor to the show, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. Per Connor's tweet, which I read and was therefore notified myself of what we're talking about. We're going to talk a little bit about his new, some people may have played it, but it's releasing to the general public this month, Dreams of the Red Wizards Adventurers League module, the Red City domain of dread that Connor put out with some other amazing people. A really cool, brand new, super awesome commission that Connor just got from Baldman Games. Some other stuff he's got going on, and decolonizing D&D. Because we're the people to talk about that. But I feel like it's a topic for everybody, honestly.
It is.
And we're going to talk about whatever you have questions about. So put them in the chat. Throw a real, throw a real zinger out there. Yeah. Anyways,
Please.
Connor, for anyone who hasn't met you, do you want to give a quick introduction of yourself, what you do in gaming, and I don't know, something neat about you?
Okay. So hello everybody. It's great to meet all of you. My name is Connor. My pronouns are he, him, or they, them. Works just fine.
Oh, I put he, they in the corner.
That works great. And I am a mental health therapist and a part-time D&D creative. What does that look like? Well, during the day, I work with a number of kids and their families in the public schools, where I provide mental health services in a rural Title I district. I love it. It's my passion.
And such good kids.
They are amazing kids. I've got the best kids. But it means that it gives me the opportunity to do a lot of other things I'm passionate about. I sit on my state counseling association, and I help run D8 Summit Charities, a 501c3 that raises money for quality local causes at gaming events. And I sit on the library board of trustees for my hometown. I get to do cool things like that, and I get to create all sorts of cool D&D stuff and get it out there for people because D&D, it's one of those passions. A lot of us have done it, have been involved in it since we were kids, and it's occupied a very important part of my life from my youth. And so it's great to be able to give back now and see and bring that the pleasure of gaming to people that I know, and help expose the next generation of gamers to the positive benefits that storytelling can have in their lives.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely an important aspect, especially as D&D is becoming more and more popular, and more kids are getting the opportunity to play it, with their parents having grown up with it and being like, "Fuck yeah, you could play this." You know, it's an important social activity. It's an important learning activity. It's an important way to learn about the world around us, how to interact with it, and all of that. And having quality content out there, like the stuff that you produce, is important.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jenny. I've been very fortunate to work with some great people, including you. On
Every now and again.
well, on not just with the different fundraising that we've been a part of together, but also helping to tell stories that have meaning.
Hmm.
Um, for folks, and so I think we really um, drove that home when we did Terror in 10 Towns.
Yeah, and Terror in Ten Towns was still one of the favorite things that I have worked on, although I've got some new stuff coming out soon that was also super fun to work on.
Really,
Yeah, I've got some, I don't even know the timeline on any of this stuff when it actually releases. I've got more epics, Connor, two more.
two more.
Yeah. And those will be out soon. I know at least one of them is premiering at Winter Fantasy next month, and the other one is in the pipeline. So the Ravenloft Mist Hunters epic, and then a Dreams of the Red Wizards epic. So,
Oh,
it,
yeah, such great storylines. Both of them are great storylines, and you get to have an important part in those keystone moments from the epics. That's awesome.
yeah, and much like the stuff that you do, talking a lot about these important themes like, confronting our fears, um, dealing with characters that have disabilities and how like, you know, that's just part of their life. It's just a thing. It's not something that we need to go out there and solve or whatever. It's just, part of these people and who they are and you know, how they fit in with the world and how people treat them and how people should treat them.
Hmm.
Um and then, how the world around all of these characters, especially in Dreams of the Red Wizard, is changing and for the better. And that kind of segues really well into the first topic that we want to talk about, your DRW16 Uprising. Do you want to give a little bit of a synopsis of that for people?
Sure. DRW 16, or as it means, Dreams of the Red Wizards number 16 in the storyline, is a tier 3 adventure that really looks at some of the horrors that the Red Wizards of Thay have perpetrated and continue to perpetrate in the fantasy world where they're housed in the Forgotten Realms. And so, in this particular adventure, uh, the heroes have to explore a subterranean ruin and figure out what the Red Wizards are doing there, only to discover that they're involved in a lot of awfulness that they've long perpetrated in the storylines. The Red Wizards are a mustachioed villain. Um,
Yes.
they are not a group where you should have any redeeming qualities. You should not feel bad, as I say, for punching a Nazi, and they are the mustachioed villain of the Forgotten Realms in that way.
Hmm.
And so absolute content warning. Um, because it deals with heavy topics. The Red Wizards, if they engage in slavery, um, they will work you until you die and then reanimate your body and work that some more.
Hmm.
This is not a group that you should feel good for, and they do it just for power.
Hmm.
There's no, they're not trying to change the world for the better. They're just trying to advance their own interests at the
And
expense of everybody else.
And in this one, characters find out that the Thayans have been fortifying buildings in a long lost city that has very interesting technology that was thought lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, this point in the storyline, the characters get to go and figure out why are the Thayans there? Like, what is their interest in this place? Because if they're interested in this place, um, it's obviously not for a good reason. So I got to get to the heart of the mystery there and stop whatever it is, which kind of ties into the larger overall storyline of the Thayans having been running a slaving operation and kind of the larger overarching storyline throughout this whole season of content with it has been trying to find the details on that so that we can stop it. um, because you know, um, no one deserves that, but definitely the people of the Forgotten Realms, like, they shouldn't be subjugated like that. So the characters are there to save the day, be heroes.
Right. And so in the story, it centers on learning what's going on there, and then realizing that that these people who've been taken captive are plotting their own freedom. Um, they're and you step into it, into the middle of their plot, and they ask you to do something minor for them so that they can pull off their plan.
Yeah.
And it's not really, this is not really the sort of adventure tempo that a lot of folks expect, because a lot of folks expect, oh look, they need their freedom and they're going to invite us to come in and fight their way out of this for them. The people who have been subjugated by the Thans aren't interested in that.
Mm-mm.
They're interested in earning their own freedom. They have their own plan. They trust their own people, um, and what they ask for is simply a distraction.
Yeah,
And so the hero, and so these tier 3 heroes have to allow these people to take control of their own fate, and
yes.
then just do some things on the side that can help them be successful.
And, hopefully you get to find out in future adventures. I mean, I'm pretty sure you do.
Mhm.
Yeah, how that turns out. Um, yeah, I don't wanna go into spoilers after that,
I don't
but
either.
yeah, there's two more really cool adventures after that, and then an epic, and then two in-cap adventures after that. So Connor is very near to the end of the storyline. So if you haven't played it, it picks up with DDAL DRW09 Vile Bounty by Greg Marks. So
Mhm.
you can get adventures number 9 through 15 right now on the DM's Guild, and if you want to follow a very tight storyline, you can start all the way back at the beginning, with Dreams of the Red Wizards number 1, meeting Zahira, and go through the entire storyline. It has a lot of stuff. It ties into so many of the existing storylines. So if you're like an invested player, um, it's just so much fun. I love
Yeah.
getting to drop the little Easter eggs into these adventures, and with yours especially, Connor. There's just so much good stuff for people who played through it to pick up on and be like, "Oh, I remember when we did the thing and we saw that. Wow!" So
Greg, Greg has been amazing with that.
yeah,
He has such a firm grasp on the storyline, and so he really did a great job in the collaborative process of 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 pointing things out and saying, what about this? What about this? What about these elements from prior storylines? And so that really helped me tie in some of those elements, and then from there tying in elements from a lot of the book adventures, which I have quite a bit of exposure to, and pulling those pieces in as well. And so you will run into little tidbits from Rime of the Frost Maiden, Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and some of these other adventures, because I have to drop the Easter eggs. They have to be there.
yeah, and if you go through the entire storyline, it ties into, we can go all the way back to, um, Horde the Dragon Queen, Storm King's
Mm-hmm.
Thunder. Like, you can get like ties to pretty much all of the established 5th edition content in here, and that just makes it, an absolutely riveting storyline in my eyes. Um, and that's not even getting into all of the political intrigue and, the big overarching, just like big story stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
there's so much.
yeah. So speaking of like big story stuff, you worked on the Red City, which is a big domain.
Yes, it
I mean, you were one of a large group of talented people who worked on that. And Red City is almost sorry, let me try that again. Almost a silver bestseller now.
so close, so close. We are within just a couple copies of having silver status on that, and then being able to upload a new version of it with a lot of cool new content. So the Red City, for those of you that don't know, is a completely realized domain of dread. If you think of
Barovia.
Van Richten's guide,
Mhm.
they have a number of domains of dread in there, but they're like short, a couple page descriptions of some of these places. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to give somebody a domain of dread that was relatively actualized, just like if they were playing through Barovia, in Curse of Strahd.
Mhm.
And so that's what our team put together. Amazing people collaborated on this. As far as writing, Elizabeth Banerjee, Jim Berkey, Nate Caldwell, Jamie Fleckno, Ben Heisler, Paige Lightman, and we all worked together on the writing. Ian Gould did layout and art direction. Ian Pace, an incredibly talented editor, handled the editing, along with a team of folks. Daniel Kuna, Yvonne Bilibin, Warwick Goebel, Kasparis Carson, Joel Klein, so many artists.
Yeah.
And special shout out to Laura Hirschbrenner for her sample Microsoft Word template, which is
Made it come together.
it helps so much. So I'm going to continue to shout her praises for that work. So it was a big team effort for a product that at current is I'm
78
looking,
pages.
78 currently, but we have another 20 to 30 pages that are going to be added in when this thing hits silver. So we're mighty close.
Yeah.
We are mighty close. As a matter of fact, I'll drop a link in Twitch right
Oh,
now.
I dropped one a second ago.
Yeah, but there is a link for Twitch where you can get it for half off.
Oh, sorry.
Through the 10th, So I will get that. I'll get that in there to so that your listeners can take advantage and get
Yeah.
it for
So
half of
definitely click Connor's link and pick that up. You're like less than 10 sales away from silver, and at silver they're adding so much more new content, new Bard College, a new level 5 to 10 art mystery adventure, a new spread full color map of the demo plane, and just so much cool stuff.
so much, so much.
I can't, Um, but I really like about this setting itself is how much stuff there is in there. It's not just a location. There's like write-ups on how to run the different types of horror content that you can find in here. There's obviously the write-up on the Dark Lord. Um, there are guidance and resources for using safety tools with these types of horror. There's new backgrounds, there's new archetypes, there's new feats. Um, there's a dark gift that I don't think you want to get. I don't want to get it, but you might accidentally end up with it.
It could happen.
Yeah, there's all these new organizations that you can use, not only within this one, and then it's not just a setting. It's there are adventures already there, ready for you to run within the Red City, and the surrounding areas, of course. So um, it's it's I think the listing says it's a living work. There's a lot there. There's a lot more to come from it, and honestly, you should pick it up, if only just to inspire yourself to create something from it.
Yeah,
Like,
take the pieces you like and use them however you wish.
yeah,
It's great.
make your thing. Write your adventure in this domain. Like, do it.
Yeah, there haven't been too many that have been released to the guild. Shout out for Sire 1313. Shout out to Dread Metro. Both are actualized, like fully actualized Ravenloft settings that are new in the same vein. We wanted to tell a very different story than a lot of the other domains did. We wanted to tell a story that we sort of decolonized and pulled away from some of the ideas, which, while terrifying, might at times be problematic. We wanted to give players and DMs the tools that they needed to tell terrifying stories there, and stories that are very different, stories of beauty, and art and culture, music and food, folk horror, in the inspired by the richness of Eastern European mythology,
Hmm.
which plays into it quite a bit. A dreadlord that isn't the center of your story and never needs to be, because in a world where people are afraid to be exceptional, the heroes stand poised against a lot of threats that the people are not prepared to handle themselves. Um, and so that theme comes back over and over. People afraid to be exceptional, and the heroes, by the nature of their persona, how do they deal with that? And how do they deal with being exceptional? With helping people who aren't capable of defending themselves for that fear. And then what happens if they fall victim to that exceptionalism too?
Which is
So
a
so
very real thing. You can get, too caught up in, being yourself and being the hero and being badass that you get sidetracked from doing the things you should do as a hero.
mhm,
Like that's a very
yeah,
real thing.
it is.
The
So
Dreadlord is Mr. Mediocrity.
the dread lord is really that force toward mediocrity. It
Yeah.
really is.
Mm.
And so you can tell very unique stories in it. It's also technologically advanced. It's early Renaissance,
Mhm.
and so some rules and guidelines to running early Renaissance D&D can be found in there, um, and so much inspiring art, new monsters, like just the pieces that people tell me. Now, one of the great things about that work too is that it's an unfolding work, meaning that every time it meddles, we add more content. The content that we add oftentimes is the sorts of things that we wish we had ready months ago.
Mhm.
Parts of it, though, are things that people ask for. They're like, I bought this setting and I really wish this was in it.
Yeah, so like if you bought it now and you want something, leave a comment. Uh,
Yeah, leave a comment, because
li-
we read them and we try to incorporate those things.
if you want Connor to love you forever, leave a review.
Yeah, we've got 3 5 stars, which is pretty solid for
You know,
DM's Guild.
you know what? Let me back that up even further. If you want any creator on the DM's Guild to love you forever, leave a well thought out review. Like honestly,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to pour your heart and soul into it. Although if you pour your heart and soul into it, I will love your heart and soul.
Right?
Um, yeah, reviews. They're just so
Review.
nice. I've gotten so many reviews where I'm just like, oh God, they're being so mean and awful, but they left a review. I love it.
I, it looks like Chili Draws went right to the firearms and cannons section. Yes. There's information on cannons, and using cannons in your games, uh, including why cities don't really have walls in the Red City, and it's because of cannons.
Yeah, I mean, walls are a little bit like it's a lot of effort to put a wall up just for someone to shoot a cannonball through it,
Right through it.
right through
Mhm.
it.
They don't provide much protection. Um,
Which is why Travis Woodall is firmly anti firearms of all sorts.
mhm.
Very
Yep,
much
yeah,
pro wall. We're building the
yep.
wall around this kobold warren, and you're never gonna get in. And even if you do get in, we're gonna stab you, all 1,000 of us each once.
Uh, Death by a thousand cuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I,
So
I believe it is 1,000 tiny deaths. Thank you. Um, but so if you want to pick up some more stuff from Connor, You've also got out right now a campaign bundle, Land of the Midnight Sun campaign. So that's one of your Dungeon Craft series.
It
Um,
is.
and I dropped the link for that for everyone. So that was back with the Plague of Ancients. So for everyone, Plague of Ancients went along with Rime of the Frost Maiden. So that was the
Mhm.
Dungeon Craft. So Dungeon Craft being community created content. So that was the Dungeon Craft stuff that went along with that, and um, there were how many of these? Four, five, four,
There's
four.
4 adventures in there.
Yeah.
Four 4-hour adventures. And each one, so these adventures were meant to be run together as a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The campaign can take you from first level to fifth level. Each one is actually set up so that you don't need to adjust it. If you start it with first level characters in the first adventure, the second adventure is set up for second level characters, the third adventure for third, and the last adventure for fourth. It really gets into some of the older D&D content
It
that players
brings
found.
back your favorite NPC.
Oh, there are a few NPCs I really like, but yes, my absolute favorite is in there. Um,
Jenny
uh,
Greenteeth.
Jenny Greenteeth. Oh wow, the stories about her from hundreds of years ago. They were the icing on the cake as I continued to read those. How she used to pull people to their death in streams. Um, it's but Jenny Greenteeth, as she exists now, she is a Fey Lord in the Quivering Forest just outside Flan, an area made famous by early D&D Adventures League, but even before that, the old Pool of Radiance video games.
Yes.
Right? Oh, we're getting drinks.
Oh, we're
So I I
sorry.
I
Sorry, I forgot to tell you. We
oh yeah.
we're getting drinks,
So
everyone.
I want to thank some of my players from one of my pro DM campaigns for this 16-year aged rye Canadian Crown Royal. Um,
I want to thank my
so
Instacart driver who went to the store and got this for me as we were quarantined.
thank you, Instacart driver. So
I
I will
mean,
pour some of this.
um, I know, right? Um, but that said, Ginny Greenteeth is an absolutely phenomenal character. There's just like so much lore, so much like history there, and like a lot of people come into it, they're like, "Oh, she's a hag." Okay, so I know exactly what I'm getting into.
But do you really? Because she's the sort of evil that you can work with.
She's a very she's a very reasonable villain.
She is.
Surprisingly. But
Absolutely
does that mean she's predictable? Absolutely fucking not.
not at all. She asks the heroes to go and retrieve a mithril hand mirror from Icewind Dale, and she uses a magical snow globe to send them there. And then from there, what seemed like a small thing ends up being a huge kerfuffle. There's the weather, the eternal night that's going on in Rime of Frost Maiden, the terrible weather, the hordes of undead, a murder mystery that the heroes are thrown right into the middle of. It has both a dungeon and a dragon in the adventure, which is something I'm very proud of. And uh, it brings back one of the more prolific uh, and powerful Fey Lords that was mentioned many editions ago, the Prince of Frost.
Mm-hmm. The
So
Prince of Frost is such a cool character.
he is such an amazing character with great story behind him as well. And then you see the political rivalry between Jenny and the Prince of Frost.
I mean,
And
because
you get to be stuck in the middle of that. And I feel bad for all the
for
adventurers.
all of her niceness and everything, she's still very ambitious.
She is.
Like,
She is motivated by her own power,
well, of
first
course,
and foremost. Um,
aren't we
and
all?
so I think so. Um, so that sets her up at odds with the Prince of Frost in this story, and the poor heroes are caught between these two forces, both of which are very arguably quite evil.
It sounds like a very frosty relationship, says Zardak.
Ooh,
Ooh.
cha! I love the puns. Keep it coming.
So what else do you have on the horizon? I know you just got a new commission. You got some other stuff coming up. Are
Good.
you writing any more Jenny Greenteeth?
I am.
Always,
Okay, so
always.
always I gotta keep
All right,
that
what does
love
everybody
going.
else want Connor to write? What else should Connor write? Let's,
Well,
let's just take a poll while Connor tells us what he is writing.
do it. Yes, please tell me what you want to see, because if you tell me what you want to see, it's weird how I do write that stuff. Because I'm just like most creatives. I want to put things out there that people are going to engage with, that they're going to enjoy, that's going to add a net positive to their life. So
What do you want to see me write? Heck, what, you
right,
know what?
yeah.
What should Alan?
Ginny,
What should Alan write?
what should Alan write? Yeah, write that down too.
What should we
I
all
hear he
write?
likes worms.
Yeah.
Um, um, but he will write things that are not worms.
Many things. Lots of
Many
things.
things.
He's
Yeah.
writing fan things right now.
He wrote a great Star Trek Adventures game.
Oh God, yeah.
It was
Oh,
so much fun.
but anyways, Connor, we digress. What are you writing?
Okay, so I am also putting together something that's going to debut at Winter Fantasy. It is
That's
Moonshade.
really soon, everybody. So
It's really soon.
everybody,
Moonshade,
cross your fingers and send Connor like an imaginary drink.
all of the positive vibes. I'll take all of them.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I'm writing I'll announce it. I'm writing Moonshade's DRW2, which is called Unsee the Unseelie. And so I get a chance to hop back into my wheelhouse, which is fairy tales. So populated by all sprites, and all NPCs only deal 1 damage. Done.
I love
it. Unsee the Unseelie is an adventure about a very, very typical fairy tale, in that you're warned from an early age not to enter the woods because there are dangerous things in the woods.
There are, of course. The woods, they go bump in the night.
They do. And when people begin to go missing, you're asked to go investigate, and what you find is a little bit deeper than what you expected, and it's meant to set up a really strong moral choice, which causes the adventure to end in pretty dramatically different ways.
Yeah. So the D&D Seelie Unseelie are way too normal, said Reverend J. Which, okay, all right, I'm not gonna disagree outright with you. I will say though, in the Moonshade's stuff, specifically, they've leaned a little more heavy into the, I guess, older lore, the more Celtic type stuff, where the Unseelie are, you really just don't want to fuck with them.
Right. The Seelie you don't want to mess with either.
I mean,
but the Unseelie are definitely hands off, and I appreciate that. Having led the creation of the At Jenny's Request series, which also dives very heavily into Seelie and Unseelie politics.
Wrote some Raven Queen, or no, I didn't. Did I write it? Did I edit it? I don't know. I worked on some Raven Queen stuff, and oof, yeah, some of the Fae over there get real.
They do.
Real.
They do, and
touchy.
and yeah. So doing the Fae justice is something that's very, very important to me, Rev J. Very important to me. That those old stories are honored. And that those key ideas are brought out. And so you do encounter Fae, and then learn that the story isn't as easy. It's not just abductions. There's a lot more going. Midgard does it well. The Midgard setting.
The Midgard setting does do it well. I love the stuff that Kobold puts out. And how they handle the Fae, um, is absolutely. I agree. It's very well done. It makes them feel very intimidating, very intense, very oh shit, I crossed them. I'm
Mhm.
gonna die, aren't I?
Yeah, and if you're looking for some of those dark fey creatures that are tied into mythologies from around the world, I would highly encourage you to get a subscription to Arcadia Magazine through MCDM, because I'm going to be adding some great new options to your game with the release, which may be later this month.
Well, you don't have to subscribe. You can buy them individually
You can
on
buy them
on
individually,
the store.
absolutely.
So if you just
It,
want the one, you can just buy the one.
mhm.
Otherwise, their Patreon is.
Yeah, it's exceptional.
I'm very proud of me still being in on that grandfather $5 tier.
it, yeah, it is a great product, and there are some fake creatures that are tied into, like I said, mythologies. One of the things we talk a lot about the Fae and the Celtic myths of the Fae, but in truth, Fae spirits, nature spirits, um, that's a
They're doing a
worldwide
lot of fae stuff.
phenomenon.
There's a bunch of like fairy stuff in this one. So this is actually not D&D at all, but it was just sitting on my desk. This is a Nerdburger Games, Secrets of the Vibrant Isle, and you go there and there's like a lot of fae-like creatures, and it's actually a solo RPG. Um, so dealing with them and figuring out like how to deal with all of that like by yourself, and like what the best way to coexist with such creatures are, what the best way to uh like parallel exist, because sometimes you don't really want to coexist, um
Right.
and so having like just like so much stuff lately where it's very like fae influenced and very like otherworldly, and like okay, so we're like we're going along with our little lives, and you meet someone who offers you a deal.
Hmm.
It's a really good deal.
You gotta love them. I love good
And
deals.
you're
There's
like,
never a downside
and I'm
ever.
like, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's a really great deal. I should take it, right? And they're like, yeah, it comes at a price. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know how shops work. The price is not what you expect. Yeah, I know what sales tax is. Sorry, that's a meme. Um,
No, yes, yes.
um,
So I believe I'm going to do justice to the Unseelie Fae.
I hope so.
But by
If anyone's
all
going
means,
to.
yeah, play it at Winter Fantasy. Buy it when it's available. Um, tell me. Oh, yep, look
Jonathan
at that.
Strange and Mr. Norrell, I love it so much. The BBC show is so good, but the book, yes. Read, you know, both. Just do both. Both.
Um,
God, it's such a good series.
yeah, Jenny doesn't have any part in Unsee the Unseelie, despite her obvious Unseelie leanings.
Well, I
But
mean, you're part of a series and you weren't really in charge of the entire storyline, so that wasn't really your decision.
and the Moonshades are far.
They
Um,
are. She would have to, like, scoot.
she would have to. But I'm just going to tell you, there probably are hags in there, because you know,
It's the Moonshays.
and gay men love hags, and I couldn't
And
imagine writing a Fae adventure that doesn't have a hag somewhere in it. Um, so just the way it goes.
I think I always end up putting a goblin in mine.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
Goblins are great though.
I mean, it's really good creatures to kind of that moral quandary of like, obviously the humans, we're not very smart and we don't know whether or not to deal with the Fae. But you throw a goblin at it. The goblin's like, this deal. This deal, it seems bad. It sounds good, but it seems bad.
You gotta like love the way that your Sword Coast goblin sees the world.
It is. It's a very unique viewpoint on the world. They're very untrusting.
I would be too if I
I,
had adventurers kicking in my door and killing my people all the time.
uh, I'm sorry, if you hadn't put a dead horse in the road and waylaid our caravan, then I wouldn't have kicked in your proverbial front door. Alright, lost minds of Fandelver?
Oh, they didn't have a choice.
I know.
Clark was the one running that show.
Clark is a
He-
meanie.
Clark is a meanie. I can
Down with the hobgoblins. Goblin freedom.
I ran that adventure for a family, a father and 4 kids between the ages of 5 and 12. That particular adventure, and they decided that they were going to see Clark overthrown and replaced by a new Goblin King. One of the goblins that they consider to be more agreeable. They crowned him at the end of the adventure, and the kids just thought that was the greatest thing. So
I ran it not terribly long ago. I run it mostly through Start Playing Games for groups that have never played before, and I don't run it by the book. There's a book. Toss it.
yeah.
Um, they started a forest fire,
Oh.
and things got kind of out of hand, and they burned down Fandolin.
Oh.
But the goblins were very gracious that they realized the goblins were nearby because they started screaming, and so they were helping save the goblins, and things got way out of hand over here. And so the goblins ended up partnering with them and
Mhm.
helping rebuild some of the town.
Huh.
A little bit, not like the whole thing. It was just like they felt really bad. They're like, we should have brought Smokey the Bear with us.
Oh. only heroes can prevent forest fires.
Or start them, whatever.
Or start them. It was neat though to see these kids interact with the goblins. They didn't immediately see the goblins as people to be beaten up. They saw the goblins as being victims also in the
They
scenario,
are.
and they wanted to help them. It's great seeing the game again through the eyes of a child,
Mm-hmm.
because they see things that a lot of times we miss. We're older, we have biases.
Although, not all children are sweet, naive, and innocent. Some of them will come up with the most descriptive ways of murdering things.
Fair.
Oh,
Absolutely
God.
fair.
The first child that I had in a gaming group was at the gaming store that I used to run 5 to 6 games a week at in Knoxville, Tennessee. And this kid was like 10. Super mature for a 10-year-old.
Okay.
And sat down and we're all like, okay, we're gonna be nice and we're gonna like, not be gruesome and everything. And then this kid's like, okay, I'm gonna be a barbarian. And we're like, okay, that's a fairly simple one. Yeah, cool, cool. And then like the first one he gets, and he gets a crit on, he brutally describes how he beheads it and the blood is gushing and he grabs it by its ear and he waves it around. He's like, does anybody else want to be this guy? I'll drink your blood too. And then it's just like, oh no, that's bad. I won't drink your blood, but I'll take your head. And we're all just like, there will be no peaceful negotiations, huh?
It's aggressive negotiations in the vein of Firefly.
Oh yeah, no, completely, absolutely advantage on all intimidation checks from that kid. We were just like, like we'd roll up on new places and everyone would be like, would you like to surrender? And they would be like, how is that for a negotiation? And they'd be like, would you like to send the barbarian or would you like to surrender? And then the barbarian would whip out like 5 orc heads. Would you like to surrender?
Oh. Yeah, kids around the table are great though. By all means, if you can run for them, do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess
because they will challenge you as a DM. You will grow as a DM. But you'll also, I mean, like for me, honestly, my favorite thing is to see the game again as if I were young. And that just keeps me good. That just keeps me feeling good there.
For me, it's just God, yeah, no, that's great. Never would have thought of it. Whether or not it's actually great, sometimes it's terrible, but it's like the thought literally never would have crossed my mind.
Terrible
Gross.
is great too. Sometimes the terrible plan is way more fun than the great one. You know, it's okay. You could sit and debate an hour and a half what you want to do, but sometimes just having a 5 minute conversation and just letting the chips fall where they land is way better for the story.
But in general though, kids, adults, whatever, I love running games for brand new players. You never know what they're gonna come up with.
Oh yeah, it's the best.
Especially when we've established, like, don't worry about the rules. You tell me what you want to do. Just be
Mhm.
like, I want to do this. Explain it really well, and I'll be like, okay, we're gonna figure out how you do the thing mechanically. That's that's secondary. And they'll just like throw out like I don't know. What are some of the most off the wall suggestions you've gotten? Anyone, honestly, whether it was a new player or an old player, what are some of the most off the wall suggestions that you've gotten from a player or a fellow player?
Oh, there are so many. Um, so at one time in Lost Mines, the heroes encountered a flame skull, who was pretty much told, "Just guard this room, and I'll be back later." And then the person never came back, right?
It
And so
wasn't
they
very
said,
nice.
"Yeah," and but the flame skull is polite enough to say, "If you enter this room, I'm going to have to kill you." And then they're like, "Well, but what have we done in the room?" He's like, "Well, I mean, I was only told to kill people that enter the room. So if you don't enter the room, you're fine." And they're like, "Well, like he's never come back. You must be kind of bored in there." He's like, "Well, yeah, it's been a few hundred years. I don't have any books to read or anything." They're like, "Well, people usually die after a few hundred years. He's probably dead. But if you come with us, I mean, there's probably going to be ample opportunities for you to burn things at the very least."
I mean,
So then they
I,
end up having a flame skull that follows them around the rest of the campaign. They name him.
honestly, that's a good point. They've got a great point there, though. Humans die.
They do, and it's just like, so they name him. His name is the Aldabor, the Flame Skull. He follows behind, cackling maniacally and shooting rays of fire everywhere. And they loved him. It added so much levity to their game. So you
Okay,
know,
okay, but Zardak down here with the have a gnome sitting in a portable hole and putting it in a portable hole. Okay, but like, what does your gnome think is going to happen there? It is clearly stated.
yeah.
Although,
In
Reverend J, I think we've all had that player, especially people who run consistently at conventions. You've had that player who sits down and they're like, you start describing something and they're like, oh, okay, so these are its weaknesses and its vulnerabilities. This is its armor class, and this is exactly how hard it hits. And you're like, is it though?
if if you enjoy the notion of putting a portable hole inside of another portable hole, I highly encourage you to buy Uprising. because because
No, no, that one and all the ones that come after it.
no spoilers. I'm just going to say you'll want it because yeah. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say.
Yes, do not walk into an extra dimensional space with your bag of holding. People don't think about that.
They don't. They
Um,
don't.
although the two-headed goblin alchemist artificer, the two heads arguing with each other. No, no, no. We should solve it with science. Well, what about we solve it with fire pyro? What what if we work together and we make exploding artillery? Honestly.
And you can get rules for that in the Red City. um. Oh yeah, yeah. Fire. Dragon's breath rounds of ammunition are in there. Um. No
Dragons doing stuff. I've got that in some of my upcoming adventures.
guns that shoot fire.
Dragons that shoot guns.
Dragons that shoot guns. Oh, this has suddenly gotten a lot more dangerous, Jenny.
Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, anyone? Dragons with lasers!
With lasers, dragons with flipping lasers. Um, Oh my God.
We can
Um,
Dragon Breath cannonballs. I'll talk to Rich. We can make it happen.
oh, I think it can happen. It should happen. I no so that adventure Unsee the
Yes.
Unseelie uh is supposed to go premiere at the same time as Ginny's Epic at Winter Fantasy. So if you're going, give it a try. I hope you really enjoy it. Um, and it should be available hopefully sometime after that, but I don't have a date when it'll be available to the public. And the last thing is I have already begun writing 2 domains of delight in the manner that I write such things, which means that they're not terribly delightful. Um,
But
yeah,
the new Moonshade stuff is at Winter Fantasy.
this
Oh
particular
yes,
one
yes,
that
yes,
I'm
yes.
writing now will be.
Unsee the Unseelie. It is in slots 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12.
Mhm. Yep.
For
So
in-person play. For online play, I'd have to look up a different thing.
yeah. So there's that. And yeah, I've got 2 domains of delight. Um,
And
one of them
Uprising
uh,
is available in slots 11 and 12.
is it delightful for all the hags that live there. The first one doesn't have hags, but it is. It's actually the Vale of Eternal Night,
Mm-hmm.
the home of the Prince of Frost. Um, and the other one is a little bit more of a pleasure piece. It is I've really been getting in lately into the Old Gods of Appalachia podcast. If you like horror serials in the radio style, it's absolutely worth listening to. And I decided that in that vein, I wanted to tell a domain of delight story called the Quivering Dark.
If you're playing Winter Fantasy Online, Unsee the Unseelie is in slots 7, 9, 11, 12.
7, 9, 11, 12.
And Uprising is in 9, 10, 11, 12.
The
You just swap your slots around, Connor.
there you
Gosh.
go.
So plenty of opportunities to play that
Please.
within the month, not within January, but within the month.
Yeah. It's a Tony has been great, and I've been given a lot of freedom to tell this story in a manner that I think does justice to the notions of the Seelie and the Unseelie, that does justice to a storied setting such as the Moonshays, because there's so much history there, and so
And
and
it's
so I
so
got
cool.
a chance to really do that. I appreciate it so much. So
For Moonshay's adventures, there are many different endings. So sometimes
mhm,
there are definitely options for some of them. There are varying ways that you can choose to end it. Obviously, because player agency is a very important thing. Like you can make, very important choices diverge throughout and then depending on where the majority of the group chose who starts the next adventure kind of determines where you start and how you start out, and then you get to diverge again and again and again and so on. So yeah, it's a very interesting storyline in that aspect, in that um it's not, God, I can't get away from choose your own adventure, but it does have branching paths. And so, and Dreams of the Red Wizards as well. Like, the choices that you make affect how the story goes on. Like, if you choose to ally yourself with certain other faction elements throughout Dreams of the Red Wizard, like that gives you stuff. If you don't choose to do it, obviously you don't have that stuff, but then you get other options later. And so like all of these choices that you make, like
mhm,
that's one of my favorite things about both of those storylines, is that
is.
the choices you as a group make are very impactful. All right, Connor, I just looked at the clock.
Oh my. Okay.
Oh my god.
What
And
time is it?
it's 10
Oh,
o'clock.
we've been at it for an hour.
We've been at it for an hour. I'm glad I looked at the clock, otherwise we'd have been at it for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just so much fun to hang out with you, Jenny. I apologize.
Gosh, don't ever apologize about that. I think we covered all of the pertinent topics that we were set to talk about. DRW, Red City, your commission, other stuff you have coming on. Yeah. Um, so that said, I know, never looked at the clock, my mistake. Rookie mistake. Um, but that said, Connor, do you have any final closing thoughts you want to share? Any projects that you definitely want people to keep an eye out for? Um, and and then after that bit, where can people find you online and all that jazz? Where can they play games with you? Gosh darn it!
Okay. All right. So a couple different ways uh, to get in touch with me. But as far as upcoming things, Uprising should be releasing later this month, and in 2 months, Unsee the Unseelie should be out. I am working.
And Connor and I will both post that all over the Twitters.
I'm I'm working feverishly with these domains of delight because I want to get them out there so that people can begin telling stories there, either running some AL games in it or using the setting in their own home game to tell stories that they like. So those things, but I don't have a date on when those are going to be out yet. The next online gaming presence I think we'll have is going to be Mayday's 10 Day. So Jenny, hold on to your pants.
I'm not holding my horses. I'm holding my pants. I don't have any
You're
pants
holding
on.
your pants.
I don't have any pants, Connor.
because soon I will be messaging the most capable person in online land, Jenny Loveday.
Oh
To
shoot!
see
I
about
thought he
getting
was
that
gonna.
thing.
I thought he was gonna say Tid.
No, no, no. Oh my goodness, everybody. Jenny gets shit done. Um,
There's a lot.
so
Actually, there are so many of us who get shit done. But thank you, Connor.
yeah, so there's that. So those things are coming up. Where can you find me? If you wish to find me, there's a couple easy ways. You can find me on the Twitter at the Healer DM. It's located below my name, so I will not type that for you. I also have a website, which I will put in the chat.
It is linked in the bio of his Twitter as well.
There you go. So on that website, you can find links to other products I've worked on. You can also find out if you want to play a game with me, you can hire me to tell a story.
Can they still see a really cool picture of Pumpkin?
Well, yes, I think so.
Pumpkin is his Jeep.
Oh yeah. Johnny Rotten. Yeah, it's those are the easiest ways to get a hold of me. And if you want me to run a game for you, I do that through Start Playing.
Which is linked on your card.
It is. I'm very proud of my reviews there. I work really hard to give people just really awesome games. So you can always hit me up there if you're interested in having me run a one shot for you, or if you're looking for a campaign. And otherwise, find me at conventions. Things have been a little bit weird lately because of COVID. But I hope that once this Omicron thing dies down some, I'll be able to head back out and get hugs again, because I miss all of you.
I know. One final question. Well, maybe not final, but one more question from the chat. How many adventures do you think will be included in that in the Domains of Delight when you get them all out there?
Well, so the Domain of Delight, I'm gonna put in one AL legal adventure in each.
Hi, Dyson.
Hey, Dyson. I'm going to put at least one AL legal adventure in each, and then I can look to see what I'm able to do before they tell me I'm not allowed to write anymore, because Adventurers League puts a limit on such things, right?
You could probably get. I mean, they got to be separate products, but you could probably get more than one in each domain.
And I can bundle them too.
You can bundle them. Look at there. See, problem solved.
Yeah, now that I know how to bundle, I figured these things out.
I could have told you how to bundle.
I know. I just had to figure it out on my own.
Ask for help when you need help. It's okay. We're here for you. Anyways, though, before we end up talking for 2 hours, you can, as always, find me online on everything now at Jenny Loveday. You're pointing the wrong way. I'm over here.
Oh,
Here. At Jenny Loveday on everything now, including YouTube. So excited about that. I got my website, jennyloveday.com. You can find most of my stuff there. I need to update my website. You can find me. I am going to be, I don't know if I'm signing up to run general games for January BDDW or not, but I will be streaming one of our Baldman games, streaming games for the month. I am streaming a Feywild game, The Landscape of Historian LaFey, by Gabe Hicks, and I will be running that on Sunday. Sunday is the 23rd at 3:00 p.m. and that'll be over on the Baldman Games Twitch. That's Baldman_games. I'll link that all over YouTube. Don't worry about that. Both on mine and the Baldman Games.
Gabe is amazing. That would be a real treat to watch.
It's gonna be great.
The writer.
Yeah, if you want to see my players awkwardly rhyming for 45 plus minutes, tune in. It's gonna be great. Also, don't tell them that they're gonna be doing that. It's a secret.
It's an internet secret. Nobody else will know.
Other than the players that I ran this for in Florida who got to rhyme for 50 something minutes. It was all bad. It's all bad rhymes. It's gonna be so much fun. So that'll be my next thing that other than of course, Designers In. That'll be my next thing that I'm streaming. I might be DMing some games for that weekend as well, but I am definitely going to be actually, let me back that up. Definitely is a bit strong right now. I am planning on being in person at Winter Fantasy in Fort Wayne, February 2nd through 6th, if you happen to be there, only because I can drive there and I don't have to get on a plane and got some obligations. But if things get really bad, I'll be right here for Winter Fantasy. So, we'll see how that goes. The rest of my convention schedule for the year is kind of up in the air, aside from May Days, which I'll be doing from right here in this chair with Connor. But I'll be back next week for the Designer's Den. It's actually pre-recorded. I'm talking to Amanda Hammond. She was the lead designer on the Strixhaven book, and we had a lovely little chat about that, about what the design process is like for an official Wizards product, working with Jeremy Crawford, working with James Wyatt, putting together that adventure, some of her favorite parts, tying magic into D&D, and I just really love that book, so I'm super excited to talk about it again. I think it's going to be my third Designer's Den about Strixhaven. We'll see how many I can squeeze in. But super excited for that next week. I'll be on. I'm going to try to get Twitch to behave and upload it and do it on Twitch as well at the same time, but I will definitely be in the YouTube chat. I'll be on both if I can get it working on both. Twitch has been twitchy. Yeah. Yeah, and then I've got some great guests lined up for the rest of the month. But if you know anybody who wants to be on the show, definitely shoot me a message over on Twitter or contact@jennyloveday.com. I'd love to have you on the show if you've created something. If you've created something, you're a creator.
Mm-hmm.
It's you. That counts. You're it. You've done it. So no special qualifications needed. So that said, I think that's gonna be it for this episode of the Designer's Den, right, Connor? Right? That's it?
I think so.
I think that's it, yeah. So until then, cheers, everybody. Cheers, Connor.
Culture.
Yeah. Oh, we tapped. That's it. All right, everybody. Until next time.
Until next time.